What is up, guys? Joker Folie is again directed by Todd Phillips, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. Let me just show you. I just got out of the fan first premiere. They gave us this cool IMAX poster. I don't know if you can tell by the glare with my light. I'm trying to see in the reflection. It's really cool. Them going down the Joker stairs. Spoilers in this whole video. I want to talk in depth about the film. Things that I liked, things I didn't like, obviously. Haven't done a review in a little bit. This sequence is not even in the fucking movie. But whatever. Let's just put this right down there. I do think it's a sick poster. All right, guys. So Joker Folie basically follows 2 years after the events of the first Joker film. Arthur Fleck is in prison and he's on trial for the 5 murders that he committed. And we see this character named Lee. And basically who Lee is she idolizes the character of Joker. She idolizes Joker and Arthur and the things that he's done. She admits herself into the insane asylum, into the prison, and she tries to go basically get the Joker out of Arthur. Now, we knew going into this film that there's musical elements, right? And I'm gonna start off with the pros that I really liked about this film. Let's talk about the music used in the film. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the music. Some of the musical numbers, they were really, really cool. The set pieces were fantastic again. The stylistic cinematography approach of this film is exactly like the first one, which I really wanted to feel at home. The score, once again, the same composer. I cannot pronounce her name. She did a phenomenal job with the first Joker score, and she returned for this one, and it's great as well again. As for Joaquin Phoenix, he nails his character of Arthur Fleck. I really, really enjoyed his character and his performance in this film and his arc. I really liked a lot of what goes on in the trial sequence. I thought that was very, very entertaining. There's some dark humor here and there, which I really liked as well. And I really liked what they were setting up in the prison. I thought that they had like the trauma that he's going through, and I liked that part of it. Now let's talk about Lady Gaga performing or in the film as Lee, also Harley. I really liked her. I don't know if she's better than Margot Robbie. I'm not here to compare and contrast. These are two different types of Harley Quinns, but I thought she did really well with what she was given. As for the rest of the film, I would say too that I really liked basically where they're trying to go with the message of the type of film, which we'll talk about towards the end of the film or end of the review. With that being said, guys, I do have a lot of negatives with this film. Unfortunately, it really has to go with the runtime, and it also has to go with the musical elements. I was all for the musical elements, and I'm going to say right now, guys, I enjoyed maybe 50% of them. There's just too much of them. And I think that even me showing you guys, there's a scene in the trailer that we see them dancing outside of the courthouse, and there's this like scene that we saw behind the scenes of them dancing down the Joker stairs are cut out of the film. And I think that these are just longer takes of musicals that we just didn't see because even they knew they had so many musicals in the film. This is the problem with filming and making a sequel that was not planned and that was just a cash grab by the studio. They really tried to capitalize a lot from the first film in this. There's a lot of elements that you see from the first film. You're like, oh, that nod, that nod, that nod. So with that being said, though, I would have to say that like the musical elements is just too much in this film. I would have been cool with like maybe like 3, 4 sprinkled around the film, and not saying that they're bad. These sequences are filmed great. Their performances, Gaga's and fucking Joaquin's performances are great, and there's some that I really, really liked. But I'd say towards the end of the third act, even there's like 2 of them that just like, holy fuck, we're doing it again and again, and I just felt like they just needed to fill up the runtime and they didn't have a full story in mind. You could tell there was a story, but the story would have ended in 45 minutes. Joker going on trial. They didn't want to drag it out. So they thought to themselves, let's spice it up a little bit and add these musical elements, which is basically a musical in the film. And for me, it worked, but it did not work. And when it did not work, it really did not fucking work. It just came off as exhausting. And I hate to say that because there were times I really enjoyed this film. And at the end, which we'll talk about the ending and what the message is in a little bit, and then I'll give my rating. At the end of it, it was just like, you know what? This is a good film. I like the film. I'm not going to say right now, guys, that I hate the film because I actually don't. I actually enjoy it. Is it better than the first one? Absolutely not. The first one, like I said in my updated review, I give it a 9 out of 10. It's even on par, like almost to a 10 out of 10, just a little nitpicks that I have. This film is Not as good as the first one. It's got cool ass elements that are different and makes it different from the first one. And like I said, some of the musical sequences I enjoyed, but it's just too much and gets repetitive towards the last two of them. Like, holy fuck. Another thing that I noticed, is not a nitpick at all, but you could just tell just the way that it was filmed, in the sense that they just didn't have the, like, and that's what I love about the first film, is it wasn't setting up a sequel. There was no sequel planned. But in this film, you could tell that scenes are longer. They're taking their time through it as long as they can, and it's not rushed, which is a good thing, but you just could tell that this is a film that was not planned, and a story that was not planned, that they had to make up with within the last 5 years. With that being said, another thing that I was going to say is, with the story not being made up with, like I said, I could have been fine with one Joker film and that's it, right? One of the things I did not like, though, is that they dived into Arthur's mental illness as being a personality disorder, and then they kind of just reveal that it's all a fantasy. But let's talk about the ending of the film, and then I'll give my review or my rating for the film and get you guys out of here. So for the ending of the film, we notice there's this big courthouse sequence. It's the climax, and his followers blow it up, and they get him out of there, right? And we could see a little nod at Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face. His right side of his face is all fucked up from the explosion. He gets out, he escapes, and he ends up going back to the Joker stairs to find Harley there. And she's all sad, depressed, because Arthur gave up the Joker persona. And he's like, that's not me anymore, nothing like that. And she ends up leaving him. He gets arrested and goes back into prison. And what ends up happening is, a guy that admires Arthur throughout the film is sitting in the back, and he finally takes the step front, and he ends up telling Arthur a joke and kills him right there, bleeds out. And in the background, you can tell that this guy starts to laugh and carve his face, and he's, in the sense, starting to look like the next Joker. Now, I actually do like this idea. I mean, it's also a safe bet from Todd Phillips and Joaquin's view that, like, let's kill this character off now so the studio doesn't make us make a third one if this film does successful, which we'll talk about box office in a little bit. But I do like this idea that it's an opposite backwards persona idea of the idea of Batman could be anyone in that sense. Joker could be anyone. And that's, I think, how we're going to see, if we're never going to see it, but how this Bruce Wayne, the younger Bruce Wayne, will come up against the Joker. But it's going to be reversed, in the sense that Batman doesn't inspire the criminals are going to inspire the hero. And that is a little different for sure, but I think it could work. But overall, guys, another thing that I think about this film, though, is it just, the runtime. That was the last thing I did want to say. This film is 2 hours and 18 minutes. The first film is 2 hours, I believe, on the dot. And I actually wanted the first film to be longer. I enjoyed it more. This film, like I said, it just drags too much. You could have made this film 1 hour and 45 minutes, cut out some of the musical sequences, and it could have been, boom, a fucking chef's kiss, in my opinion. I have no idea. It's not like that. But I understand a couple sequences that I saw in the trailer that they cut out. I understand why they cut them out now, for sure, because just the runtime is just fucking too long. But overall, guys, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed Joker Folie à I really like Gaga and Joaquin's performances. The stylistic approach, the courthouse setting and sequences are really nice. The prison sequences are really nice. And some of the musical elements are really cool. However, it suffers with a longer runtime, dragged on musical sequences, and repetitive musical sequences. I gotta sit here and I'm gonna give Joker Folie à a 7.5 out of 10. If it's 7.5 out of 10 is a great rating for this film. Let's talk about box office real quick. I do think that this film is gonna do decent in the box office, but it's not gonna get nowhere near the first film. I think that this film might get anywhere from the $500 to $800 million range at most. But guys, have you seen Joker Folie à? Let me know your thoughts below, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys real soon.